Good afternoon. This is Jason with NewDirection Network. We are at Shades of Grace in downtown Kingsport, and we have Pastor Will Shuey. He has allowed us the opportunity to come in tonight and discuss hunger, something that seems to be growing in our area. And we just wanted to ask a few questions, kind of see how the process works. And Pastor, I want to thank you for allowing us to come in and spend a little bit of time in your building. This is ground zero for hunger, for homelessness, and several different ministries work out of here. And he has brought the community together in a lot of ways. And you are a unifier. He's many different denominations helps this location out. And he's got an awesome testimony, but we're not going to hear that tonight, hopefully sometime later. But we want to discuss hunger, and I've got beside me, this is Steve. He is Pastor Will's right-hand man. And then we've got Michael Gillis with Hunger First. And then we have Jonathan Anderson with Engage Tri-Cities. And I have searched out who I feel like is doing the most good in this area, and I wanted to just sit down and talk with you all tonight, and let's discuss these things that are taking place and what we can do as a community to get behind you all, how we can serve, minister, donate, whatever we need to do, and just give us the facts. People need to know that we do have a problem. A lot of churches sugarcoat it for us. A lot of community leaders sugarcoat it for us. A lot of politicians sugarcoat it for us. But we need tonight just to hear the facts. So I'm going to start with you, Jonathan. What is your ministry doing right now? I've got a steady ministry, a new ministry, and one that's been here. How many years has yours been here? 19 years. 19. So we got one 19, one about, 5 or 7?
We're just finishing
3 years. So we've got a pretty good lineup tonight as far as that goes. But Jonathan, tell us a little bit about Engage and what you are doing presently.
So I'm the director of Engage Tri-Cities, and if you haven't heard of us, what we do is our goal is to get the churches involved in the community and get the church outside the walls of the church. We want to tackle the issue of homelessness. Our goal is to see homelessness end in our city. We know that the church is the answer. We know that the gospel is the answer, and the church as a whole, we've relinquished a lot of our power and a lot of our authority. And so as a result, you have these government-run programs that are not working. And so what we want to do is we want to bring the gospel into these situations. We want to see the numbers go down in government housing. We want to see the numbers go down as far as homelessness and hunger and drug addiction and foster care system and different things like that. So we provide different opportunities for churches to serve in the community for things that they care about, things that are going to make a difference, not something that is just going to put a Band-Aid on the problem, but we want to look for real solutions and see these problems eradicated.
Michael, what is your ministry, or your outreach? How does it work?
Well, we're pretty much along the same ways. We actually work in concert with each other, have many times. The biggest issue is the hunger that goes on here, but homelessness is absolutely a problem and a growing problem here. So what we like to think we do is we want to just fill in the cracks. We don't want to reinvent the wheel, so to speak. And I believe myself, and I'll probably get flogged for saying this, but I believe that we have a unique ability for us at Hunger First. Is we actually, my mother created it for a specific purpose. And she wanted to actually, whereas Pastor Will and Jonathan, they used the church, which is an awesome thing. But what we have a unique ability to do is we take church and religion out of it now.
Go ahead. They're good. They can handle it. We got a tough audience.
But mind you, what I said was church and religion. I did not say God nor faith.
Right.
So, but that gives us the ability, I believe, to reach many of those that fall in the cracks, to where I feel that we prepare them, the team that I have now, we're able to prepare those to come to Pastor Will or come to Jonathan or any other place out here that offers more than what we do, and hopes to educate, quite honestly, and to just help them to feel loved. I don't want to press on, but that's the biggest thing. Like I said, I think we have a unique ability to be able to do that.
To be in that. Pastor Will, what is Shades of Grace and what's its operation?
Well, Shades of Grace is really foremost and first as a congregation. We're a church. But to affirm a little bit of what Michael said, and maybe Jonathan also, is we're here to try to fill in the gaps. We discover a lot of people that are just kind of falling through the system in many, many ways. And when we started this congregation 3 years ago in October, we'll begin our 4th year here, we had no idea what all we would be involved in, but it's evolved into a ministry where we do a breakfast 5 days, each Monday through Friday, and then we have, since day one, for 3 years, we've never missed a Sunday serving an afternoon meal, and we'll sometimes feed 150 on Sunday afternoons, but that is kind of a byproduct of the ministry that we do as a congregation.
Steve, how do you help your pastor? What's your role in Shades of Grace?
Well, just try to be here as much as I can. It's quite a handful, and just support him the best way that I can. We've got clothing ministry, food pantry, GED classes. There's a lot of stuff that goes on here, and it's not just me. It's all the volunteers.
Has it opened up your eyes into a whole new, different realm of reality?
Absolutely. I've told Pastor Will many times it is the most aggravating, rewarding ministry I've ever been in. But it has opened my eyes to a lot of things. There's a lot of stuff falling through the cracks.
Now, playing the advocate on this, a lot of people out there are going, well, I pay tax dollars to feed these people. They're trifling, they're lazy, they don't want to work. Why do I need to waste my time, waste my energy? I'm getting up, going to work every day and trying to do the best I can. Why do I need to take time to come down and to feed homeless or try to even help where the government's failing? And that's something that's easy for our community to do, because I think we've become, of course, we've tried to become numb to it, I guess is how I could say it. A lot of us has become numb. I luckily have been involved in ministry all my life. My dad was a pastor, so I've seen it my whole life. And sometimes I forget that, because a lot of people has it in the local church, in your local community, or in your workplace and different things like that. But God's allowed us the opportunity to be able to try to reach out to some of these people in a different way than we did when we were kids. And this is a location that's doing that. And but tonight, I want you to be sharing. I want you to go ahead and share on your Facebook page. If you're watching this, share it. And if you've got any questions, feel free to send those to me on our Facebook page, and we're going to keep up with those tonight. If you don't, we're going to continue on and have a conversation about this, and hopefully you're watching this at some other later date, and this will help you to make a quality, educated, informed decision about this. So, Michael, I'm going to start with you, because he brought a big book. Show him the book you've got here. You've got... he come prepared, so I'm going to start with you.
Actually, this is just, This is just 7 months worth.
7 months of work. And he said his mother had started this 19 years ago, and she sounds like a very compassionate lady, I tell you.
Unconditional. That's all I can say is unconditional.
Well, let's give you a couple different options. Of course, there are drug addicts in the city. We know that. There are people that are lazy. There are people that are trifling. Let's give you a scenario. We've got a young couple that got a couple of jobs and they can't afford to, and I've been there. I've eaten hot dogs and light bread. I'll be honest. You get to the point during the week where you don't have enough money to continue to feed that kid or that child, and you're working, you're trying your best. How can Hunger First help them? As far as what is the process?
They just come in, just fill out the paperwork. It's a yes or no questions. We take their name, their address, yes or no, are they on disability or are they on Social Security? Do they live in public housing? Do they get food stamps? Yes or no? How many is in your family? How many children do you have in your family? Then they sign their name. Then we give them food.
How many are you working with now? We talked during this year, the numbers have kind of spiked this year. Is that correct?
Well, I wouldn't say, well, I guess I made it sound like spike, but
Have gone up some.
had gone up because usually in the middle of winter, we take care of over 1,200 individuals with groceries by the winter. Usually it steadily declines by the time June is here, and that's probably due to where men work outside, and there's more work available, during that time. But for some reason, we've held in the upper 900s all year long, and just recently over 1,200 in June, which I don't know why the sudden increase, but 1,200 in June with a little over 300 kids. So, it's apparent that we definitely have a problem, an issue, and with hunger here. And like I was saying, like right now, we kind of do put a Band-Aid on it. I mean, we want to be more than just a Band-Aid. Not the total solution, because you need to get them to a point. I'm sure these gentlemen feel the same way. You got to get to a point to where you can empower them. You empower, you even educate them and empower them. But that's not enough. See, you have to unconditionally love them and get to the center, the core of the problem. And you have to gain their trust to where they are willing to say, knock, 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 and knock on your office door. I have an open door policy, regardless of what I'm doing.
Right.
So they knock on your door. Can I speak to you for a moment? This, and this, and this going on. I don't know what to do.
Now, you mentioned children. During time and working in past ministries with youth and things like that, we've dealt with a lot of kids on Wednesday nights and some of those that they would be wanting to take hot dogs home to their family members and things like that, because kids just don't get to eat during the summer like they do when school's going on. Is that correct?
That is correct.
I mean, so does that kind of go up also?
Oh yeah, most definitely. I mean, it just some of the things you said was I was kind of prepared, but I just get kind of a little, especially when it comes to kids, because they have no control over it.
Right.
They have no control over it, and the children are just happy-go-lucky. You, me, everybody grew up. When we grew up in the time that we grew up, it was riding bicycles until the dark, and the light come on, you better be home. This is a different setting, different rules, different generation. So, you have more so that I really don't know how to fill in the gaps on these other than maybe try to be a little bit more, what's the word I'm looking for, proactive with it in our community. Not just feeding from your place. It's having to go out here in the community and seeing the reality. Maybe if we even got that family to invite them, or the children, like go to the schools.
Right.
See the reality for what it is, because now we have like a tight security and all this and that and the other, because that's what we're starting to work on, is going to the schools to actually speak to the kids, speak to the faculty, and find out the real numbers and the reality of it all, instead of relying on some type of census, some type of other thing, to where we can work towards getting other people that want to help out to fill in those gaps, not reinvent the wheel, but fill in the gaps to where those kids do not have to go through the summer without eating. And even during school time, I'm sure they do. That the only meal at lunchtime, possibly. So that's about where we're at with that.
Now, Pastor, you was talking about you serve. I see this nice kitchen that you've been blessed with over here. And we came down. I think the church that we attend has came in and helped some of parents. So you serve every morning, come in, and you all fix breakfast. And you at least get them started off on a good day. Do you have a lot of repeat? I'm going to call them customers. Do you have a lot of repeat business of the same individuals? As far as I noticed, you're working with GEDs. You've still got a foot sock.
We're not doing that during the summer.
Not during the summer, but in the wintertime. But you've got so many smaller ministries to try to help meet some of these needs right now. Where is Shades of the Grace needing help the most right now? Where do you think it's going in 2018, 2019?
We just want to continue on track doing what we do and trying to do it better. And one of the strong points that we do here is purchasing photo IDs. So we're going to focus, we've purchased over 250 photo IDs in the last 3 years, and birth certificates as well. And we'll be going again this week. So we're going to try to continue being a strength to help the folks get their identity back, because regardless of your situation, without an ID, you just don't exist. You're not going to get very far. So but we want to continue on just doing what we do as far as the breakfast and the Sunday meal, and do the best we can with that.
Now, as far as getting IDs, you're actually giving these people an identity back, aren't you? Mm-hmm. And when you give somebody their identity back, that begins the empowerment process, correct?
Yes.
So if they've not had a way to, get that Social Security card, get a job, to get back on that path. But that leads me into another question. We are well aware in this area that we have, and the government just can't take care of them. I'm going to be honest. They've probably got a lot of families that say mom and dad had taken care of them for years and they've passed on, but we've got some mentally challenged in the area, do we not? What percentage do you think we've got? I've of course ran a FedEx route here locally, so I see a lot of what they see every day. But what do you feel like that those numbers are in this area? Do you feel like that it's
a high percentage, I feel, just from our perspective here. For example, this morning, when we came in, it was soaking rain, and someone came in drenched to the bone, all the clothing they had on, and I tried to encourage the person to take a hot shower, get them some dry clothing, but as to whether or not they ever put the shirt on, I don't know. I mean, sometimes their capacity to do those kinds of rational things is diminished, and it's kind of like, in some ways, taking care of children, kindergartners, just kind of guide them in the direction you hope they'll go.
And that again, those are the ones that I think that the government a lot of time misses, because they can't take care of themselves. I know I worked in prison ministry for about 19 years, and when you go into prison ministry, if you was there when they're handing out the medication, it would blow your mind how many's lined up in that line, because a lot of prisons right now are taking care of mentally challenged, and that's the reality of it. We don't like that, but it is what it is. But Steve, what as far as serving and those things like that, what do you feel like? Where do you think that Shades of Grace should be in a couple of years? What's your heart?
Well, I think we're right where we need to be, and over 3 years, we've been honing the ministry, or God's been honing the ministry. At one time we were doing 3 meals a day, and it was busy. I mean, we're talking, 30,000 plus meals.
Our first year here in this location, we served 31,000 meals.
Man alive.
So we realized that Salvation Army does lunch, 3:30 church has the late meal, so we drop back to do breakfast. That's the most important meal of the day.
It is. You got to get started off right.
That's where we start, and have honed down to that, and it seems to be working really well, because it's all about all of us working together. It's not about just a single ministry.
And we have so many volunteers, as I know all of you do. It would be impossible to do this without a good base of volunteers.
And God always sends those people that have the heart for it. I mean, He really does. Tamisha Mosley, she says, yes, there are drug addicts in the city. Those addicts also fall through the cracks. They often have mental illness. A person does not get the first fix thinking they want to become homeless, and in the situation they are in, she says, thanks to all the ministries for all that you do, and especially my church. Which one? Is she your attendee? Thank you, Mrs. Mosley, for that. Jonathan, what's your thought process? We've got pastor's got us an ID, Social Security card, working in different, trying to give them back. What's your thought on what's the next process? Where would you be?
So what we want to do with Engage is we have opportunities for housing. And so we can move an individual or potentially a family in. Now, that gives us an opportunity to kind of really invest in that individual or that family, figure out, how did they become homeless? Is there, money problems? Is it a job issue? What the real situation is. And then from there, we can begin to disciple them. And if it's job placement, we'll reach out to some of our local connections, help them with employment, things like that, help them get back up on their feet, and from there transition them into an apartment or a home of their own. If it's budgeting problems, then we can come alongside them and just begin to, do what parents should have done in the first place, And I was very blessed. My family, taught me lots of things growing up, taught me to work for everything that I had. And so we want to basically just come alongside and be a friend and a lot of cases a parent. And to begin to break the cycles that have been created over 10, 20, 30 years. Because I think that long-term change will only come through that long-term investment. And if we don't have individuals or businesses or churches that are making those long-term investments, we're not going to see change in the community. It's just going to continue and continue and continue. Absolutely.
And follow through. And a lot of people don't understand, if you do not have a parent or relatives that live here in this area, think about this. 90% of the people in this area are 2 paychecks away from being homeless. And I know that don't seem real, but that is the facts. Your boss could come in and lay you off, and in a couple of weeks, if you didn't have somewhere to go, a family member or someone of that nature didn't have somewhere to go, you would be on the street because they would come take your car away, move you out of your home, different things like that. So we do have to find a way to break that cycle, and it's going to take the community doing it. And we talked, we're not buying down the government or anything like that, but it's just going to have to come back to the old heart and showing compassion to your local people. And yes, it is dirty, it is real, and we've got MetaView, we've got all these nice facilities around here, and everybody drives nice cars, and everybody has nice homes. But we've got a problem, and we've got to figure out what we can do as just a small group of people, grassroots, community, through church organizations, through Hunger First organizations. But you talked about the process. Let's say we have someone that needs food right now, and say they've got somebody to vouch for them. What would it take for one of your ministries to get them food within, the next 12 hours? Because people don't really understand what the process is, and there has to be rules. We have to say it that way. You have to lay down the set of ground rules. What would you do? We went back. I want to know what your questions. Let's get back to that in just a minute. Now, I've thrown you under the bus, I know.
No, that's all right. No, that's perfectly fine. He did it.
But you told me about the loan process. We got somebody hungry right now.
Yeah.
We need to get food to them. How can Hunger First help?
I've had it happen several times after hours. Message me on Facebook. Somebody knows me, it texts me. How many's in the family? You know them? Yeah, I know them. And it's not so much about vouching, but you know them? Yeah, sure. Okay, give me their information. I'll write it down. I'll go get the food together. Where do I take it?
So see, it's that simple. We make it difficult.
No, the government makes it difficult.
Yeah, that's correct.
Because that's the thing, and we all agree that we weren't
going to talk politics, and that's good.
But that's what we do here.
Right.
We take the government out, the red tape out.
Right.
That's what you do when you come together. That's what Jesus calls you to do in the New Testament. Right. 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 You do unto others. You do unto them as they would do unto me. Something like, I can't verbatim, but anyways.
You're close. That's good.
I'm close. Good. Anyways, I know what it says. It says, love me.
Right.
Unconditional love.
And be a good Samaritan.
Period. A good steward. That's all it calls for us to do. And Jonathan said something, a key word for me, which is investment. I have found over the course of these last 3 years that you have to really invest your time. If your heart is called to do this, it is an investment. It is not some fly-by-night fancy. It is not some, oh, I'm going to save the world kind of thing. You got to have that attitude in the beginning, but then reality, when reality starts to hit, you know, the thing about that investment is what you do when you feed people. You're investing your time because somebody had to remind me, and I apologize for taking up any time, but somebody had to remind me not too long ago, a volunteer we have now, that over the weekend. Now this is when Shades, I think, was still, you guys were still allowing the homeless to sleep back here with a tarp, and there was several people back there, but several people staying at other different locations as well. And I got a phone call at 10:30 at night. We got some homeless people here that haven't eaten, you know, and here and everywhere. And I know, and these volunteers actually just walk the streets and seeing if there's any different change in head counts of homeless that we have here. And I was mad that you know, and I got to thinking, and I got my butt out of bed. I went down to Hunger First, met them down there. We got what we could, pop tops, everything, Vienna sausages and stuff, put together packs, snack packs and whatnot, because it's the weekend. Because on the weekend we don't do anything, you know. And you guys now, the only thing you do is your thing. Jonathan, you do Sunday evening, right?
First Broad Street Methodist does breakfast
Saturdays and Sundays. But it's like, see, we have the option to be able to eat whenever we want. All we have to do is walk to our refrigerator or our cabinets. They don't. And I had to be reminded of that homelessness and hunger does not stop when I walk out my doors.
Right.
That's it. That's
it
all.
goes. It
That's
keeps
it.
going.
So that's why there's no process. That's why there's no red tape. That's why you have to put, it's a selfless act. You have to put them before you always, you know, and that's as far as helping with hunger and the cracks, because those are the one that falls through the cracks. If somebody doesn't take this microphone from me, here we go.
Steve, what kind of food do you serve here throughout the week? Is it?
We always have cereal, oatmeal, eggs, donations that come in. We don't do much cooking here. A lot of our stuff just comes in, and I mean, God's blessed this place. I mean, it just
He has.
Our Kingsport and the outlying areas and have absolutely blessed this place. I mean, churches come together, and we've never missed anything that I'm aware of.
Let's see, Matthew Wayne Cash, is that saying that right? He said, if it had not been for Shades of Grace, I would have not been where I am today. They got me an ID. On Ash Wednesday, Pastor Will inspired me to get off of drugs. So that's right there. Government can't do that for you. Because government, you're a number. Places like this, you're a person. And I've always said, if you have self-worth and you find worth in your heart that you're good enough to get out and go do something, then you'll set your mind to that. We're talking about, have we talked about addictions? We've done that yet? We're still dealing with that a lot in this area, correct? What's the current drug? I mean, what are... Take that. Who wants to take that one?
Ice, which is meth, basically. That's the biggest thing. We deal with one cat. I don't know if you guys, Matt, one guy that we have coming in, he has a real problem with it. And, you know, when especially with the needle, you know, that's the biggest. But this is horrible, because once it gets you, it's got you.
Yeah.
You know, and these kids, these young adults, even their middle-aged group. I mean, it's you know, the thing about, I think with addiction, everybody wants to try to put their thumb on it, like, oh, I see why it's happening. oh, this guy had a bad life, this lady had a bad life, you know, they were abused when they were younger. It's not always like that, though. You know, it's just like the same thing with everybody wants to equate homelessness with addiction or alcoholism or mental instability. You know, that everybody wants to have that simple black and white answer, and it's not that way. It is complicated. That's the thing. That's why you have to be out here. When everybody's out here on the front line, that's the reason why we're out here, is to find out. You know, everybody said, well, you can't save everybody. One person at a time.
One at a time.
And that is with God. That is with the help. That is with the faith that you have. Faith is what keeps us going. You know, it's the people out here that donate to us, the clothes, the food, the money, everything that they help us with, the hygiene items, all that stuff, that's the heroes. Honestly, those are the ones in the back line supplying us. Anybody that's ever been in time of war, whatever. I'm not trying to compare it, so please don't get it twisted.
We understand. We're good. Again, we got to tell you all are a tough crowd. So,
but what I'm saying is those guys, you know, the ones that help us do our job, it better equips us to do our job. You know, because yes, we choose to be out here on the front lines of doing this, but you guys equipped us with the ability to be able to do these things. If that's what I would like for the community as a whole, as Kingsport as a whole, even the haters, let's say the haters and the politicians and the ones that just give you a textbook answer for every question that you have for them. What are we doing in here in the community to take care of this problem that we have that seems to be growing? And all you get is a textbook answer. So that in turn leads us to lean on one another, lean on the community more. And I'm hoping that the community gets that, for all of us.
well, one thing that I've noticed about this area, and I've lived in Nashville and some other places, I've noticed that Kingsport's a tight-knit community when it comes to these ministries and hunger. All you guys, believe it or not, everybody sitting here gets along. It's not a competition, well, except Michael and Jonathan over there. Bad example. But majority of the ones in Kingsport.
We're good.
I'm kidding. I'm joking. But they get along. They work with each other because they're all working with the same people, and it's just in a different location, in a different area. But they're all continuing to further the advancement of trying to help them and to encourage them. And like you said, you're not going to save everybody, and that's something that's hard at times in ministry. I know that you're not going to save everybody, but you give everything you've got, give the effort, and the increase will come eventually. It may not be through you. Pastor Will may pass it on to Steve here, and he may be the one that does it. But you've got to get involved. As far as help, I know, Jonathan, you've got different churches coming in on Sundays and helping you, like Pastor Will. Where are you needing help at right now in your ministry?
So our goal is to get to the point where with our houses, we have each house sponsored by a church. And so those individuals that are in that house are invested in by a particular church. So if it's, one of the individuals needs a ride to work, then that church handles it. If one of those individuals needs a job, then that church reaches out to their connections. And in turn, we see our churches, whether they're big or small, they may not necessarily sponsor that house financially. That may be something that Engage takes care of. But that church has opportunities to invest in those people and to disciple them. And for everyone that, maybe even older people that have lived life, maybe they're retired and, they're just kind of taking it easy right now. It gives them an opportunity to use their life experience and to use the things that they have experienced and been through to invest in the lives of others. That's one thing that we want to see as we are moving forward. We want to see, us continually picking up more houses and more houses until we get to the point where maybe we even have our own neighborhood and of transitional houses, so that we can see these problems begin to decrease and see the numbers begin to decrease and see families restored and lives restored. And as we're getting ready to branch out into the foster care system, what most people don't understand is that if you're in government housing, if you have been homeless, the numbers are extremely high for those individuals that have been through foster care. And so if we can begin to reach out to the foster care system and impact the foster care system, we can see the numbers dramatically decrease over time and see government housing go down, see all of these numbers decrease. Because as far as like homelessness, if you've been through foster care, the ages of 18 to 23 are extremely important. During that time, you'll see whether you will either succeed or you'll become addicted, or you'll become homeless. And so that time frame is extremely important. So churches and families and individuals that are wanting to invest in the lives of kids that are going through foster care, something like that would be huge also.
Michael, where do you stand on what items do you accept? How can they donate financially? And again, you also mentioned about someone prepares the meals and brings them there, and you just explain that for us.
Well, I'll start with that.
That's a three-part question.
Right? I got you. You'll probably have to go over that again because the squirrels. No, I'm just kidding. But Grace Fellowship has done a wonderful job since Mom moved over there in 2007, preparing the meals first. And they do it every Tuesday and Thursday. I go pick them up between 11 and 11:30. And then we go ahead and put them in to-go boxes and put them in bags and give them to those individuals. Now, on any given day, it's anywhere from 80 to 120 some, which we do. All of us deal with the same people. We figure those is just a meal that they don't have to use food at home, quite honestly. For the most part, that's usually what happens. Right now, we could actually use people that if you have clothes, men's socks, men's underwear, preferably not used, but, if you're washed or whatever, it doesn't matter.
Just go buy new. Let's just be real here.
Being nice.
Just buy new.
I'm being nice. I'm in a bunch of preachers.
It's good.
It's good.
Be
nice. But anyways, so that food, non-perishable items, perishable items, we got a great gift that was passed on to us from Pastor Will, and through another church, and we're soon to see that, which is going to be really big for us. And the different, like with food, and I guess I'm going on here right now, and I implore, and this is the word I'm using, I implore all of you that are watching or might know somebody that's watching, food, because winter is coming. All of you Game of Thrones fans, but winter is coming, and to be able to give to those that we take care of, just a little bit more this time around would be really good. As far as donations, monetary donations, definitely. We bank with First Community here. So we have one here in Kingsport, one in Colonial Heights, one in Rogersville, Churchill area. So you're welcome. They all know us. All you have to do is Hunger First account. We want to donate. You could do it that way. You could send a check to 829 Myrtle Street, care of Hunger First.
We'll put the address on there also.
Kingsport, Tennessee, 37660. Or you can come by. I would really like everybody to come by and see what we do. I know our hours aren't good for everybody because we're 9 to 3 Monday through Friday, some Saturdays due to the juvenile program that we have now. But I would like for everybody that wants to make an investment, not just a pledge or a donation, but if you have the time, I invite you to come on a Monday or a Friday after 1 o'clock. See what all the buzz is about. See all the people that we help, and it's not. Here's my I'm going to let it go after this. But my beef is that if you can't see it with your own eyes, see the reality of it, you know, I'm not going to put dirty-faced kids on my Facebook page. I'm not going to make videos of people that we give to that are just worn out and just struggling. I'm not going to do that. I'm not ever going to do that.
Being respectful of their needs.
Absolutely, of their privacy, you know, and just them as human beings. But what I do ask is that you come out and get a taste and see the reality of it. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah.
I'd like to add something about the donations. If you wouldn't eat it, or if you wouldn't wear it, please don't bring it to us.
That's the reality.
Amen, brother. We don't need 4 bikinis and a wedding dress and a pair of tap shoes. I mean, this is, you know, a little common sense really goes a long ways, because that has happened to us. But, you know, we get stuff that has been laying around in somebody's freezer for years.
And they just want to throw it away, basically.
And, I just wanted to give it to y'all because I didn't want it to be sold. Well, you know, we all deserve the best.
Exactly.
I wanted to interject here, too, how much we appreciate the other congregations in and around the city who have partnered with us. And I don't like to mention names because
you don't have to.
Cannot mention all of them.
Right.
But one of the churches began over a year ago providing milk. And they bring milk here twice every week, gallons of milk. And that's their ministry. We have another congregation for over a year brings bags of groceries already prepared and ready to distribute. These are not Methodist congregations. One is a Lutheran, one is Episcopal. The Mormon Church has been wonderful to us. They've blessed us with lots of help, as has all the denominations of Kingsport. Someone said, how many different churches support you? It's easier to say how many has not or does not, because every denomination has, and I think it's true with what these other guys do as well. So I just couldn't get by without at least thanking God for the support of all the people who do so much.
We'd mentioned the actual food. What kind of food? Now, again, people goes and gets canned foods, things like that, and they get stuff that we wouldn't eat, and you know they don't eat. And you go get the chips, you get the cheapest chip or whatever. I mean, again, get what you like to eat. We know you can't get them filet mignon or crab legs or those type of things. But we, as far as food goes, what do people like the most? Let's say it that way. Let's cater to them. And
Everybody doesn't have electricity.
Right.
Okay,
and
let's
see,
start
that's
there.
a big thing. That's a big thing, too. Everybody doesn't have electricity, or they stay in the hotels. The hotels only have microwaves. So some of the stuff that we get has to be microwavable. You know, sandwich meat, stuff like that, which we don't always get that. But we try. Here's the thing, what we do at Hunger First. We try to give everybody the same thing across the board, because that way no one person gets left out.
right.
The problem is, with no electricity, no stovetop, homeless, that presents a little bit of a much bigger problem. So, and even with nutrition, that presents an even bigger problem. So, say for instance, I've been trying to get a hold of somebody to where I could get MREs for the homeless people. You know, if anybody out there that knows somebody that would be able to donate, be able to get MREs, I'm your man, honestly. So, that would help. You know, that would even help with the people that stay at West Side Inn, Travelers Inn, some of them. But what we do is we do pastas, rice, instant potatoes when it's donated, because we try to give staple foods, stuff that will make a meal.
Right.
carbs and proteins, which unfortunately too, and we get donations of bread. We have a church that goes out and goes to Panera because they put their stuff out every night in the rubber bin, and they go out and bring us bread every Monday, and usually late on Tuesday evenings, I think it is. So, you know, but you have to. It's not just we'll put this in here, put this in here, and put this in here, because if you've ever had to go to a pantry to get food, if you've ever had to do that, sometimes you get a bunch of different kinds of mustard, you know, A1 sauce, stuff you really can't use.
Right.
1,000 jars of pickles. But it's not because it's their fault. It's just either what's donated or what's available.
We need to educate them is what we need to do as to what you need.
The people out here, like, for instance, Thanksgiving's coming, you're going to give a lot of cranberry sauce and a lot of pumpkin pie filling. We know it's coming. We know it's coming.
And they can't make a pie.
You can't make a pie.
Because they don't have...
And they're sick of cranberry sauce by the time Thanksgiving has, you know, came and
I
gone.
don't like cranberry sauce.
I'm not saying don't give it, because we give it away because nobody has to purchase it. But in all honesty, green beans, corn, peas, mixed vegetables, you know, Priceless has awesome, you know, they have awesome prices. If you go and purchase something out, use us. You know, I don't care. Just let me know. Use us. You'll get the tax exempt. And if you're going to, even if you're going to donate it to another pantry, you know, that's the thing is it's not so much about catering to everyone, is that everyone has a certain type of need,
right?
As Steve said.
Diabetic.
And the diabetics eat no bread, no pastas, no, you know, I mean, so boom, you know, I mean, you have a whole different set of things.
Okay, what's the diabetics? What do they eat? For as
nothing. I mean, because you have to watch it.
It's a problem we've
got.
got.
It's a huge problem. You know, you can't like most of my stuff. Most of the time, like here's an example. You got I got 50, 60 individuals waiting to get food for their families that want to come and get for their families, right? They're in there waiting while we're sorting. But the only thing that we have, because donations are down and our monetary donations are down, the only thing we have available is canned goods, which is green beans, corn, and mixed vegetables, a few boxes of macaroni and cheese, and all the bread you can handle. Now, if I've got 15 out of those 60 that are diabetics,
they can't eat the bread.
They're not even going to be like, exactly. But they'll still get it because it'll fill them up, see? That's the problem. It's just like when, for instance, when we get the same amount of people that come in, and you have to go tell them, you step in the room and you're all excited before you pick up the donation, and you're like, guys, I'm going to go get the donation. I'll be back. See you soon. You come back, and you have 3 boxes of nothing, like a few vegetables, this and that and the other, and it's not the other person's fault. It was what's donated to them, and then all you have is just a few canned items. So here's where you find out where they really need it. You go back in, and you say, hey, guys, can I have your attention? I just want to let you know we just come back with a donation. We're getting it all together. However, this is what we have. And then when you get with a resounding, I don't care, I'll take it, whatever you got. That's when you know you have a problem, for sure, you know.
Let's use the birthday example or the Christmas example. If you're a kid and you can either get presents or cash, which would you rather have? I'd rather have cash. I'm going to use that instance for these guys. They know where to get the monetary, the food, the different things like that. They know what they need. The best thing that you can do would be give them a financial donation, other than come down and serve. So I would suggest that. Personally, I know throwing money at the problem is not always a good thing to advertise, but it's better to do that because you can done hear what we're hearing. There's people with problems, and you've got to address each one of those individually, and what you may be bringing may not help. That's the gist of this. So I would suggest personally, give them a $20 donation or different donations of that nature, and come by and serve. this would be the greatest thing you can do. Take an airplane, for instance. Would you rather get on an airplane with someone that the pilot has flown the plane, or would you rather get on a plane and hear a guy tell about how he could fly a plane? So that's the situation that we get in sometimes. And so I'm suggesting tonight financial would be the best option we've got right now to help you all.
Can I add on that?
You can add on that.
Financial consistency, but growth. It doesn't have to be huge. Gosh, I used that number and that word again.
It's okay.
Doesn't have to be big. Just tell your friend, tell your brother, tell your cousin, tell your aunt, tell everybody. You know, it doesn't have to be big at all, and just consistent. You know, because that way we know that we can count on it. And even if it is a one-time thing, bring it. You know, I want to see you. I want to thank you, because if that's all you can do, that's all you can do. You know, a lot, everybody, like I think, and you guys can concur, I believe it. It just seems like so much sometimes that people are like, well, what can I do? You know, and they throw their hands up in the air, or the problem's too big, or the problem's too much. It's too big to tackle. But I think what we're all trying here to do is, when you said community, when you invited me to do this, and I knew that Jonathan Anderson was on board, and especially Pastor Shuey, but both of these guys were on board, I knew that this was actually going to be about the community and was going to be reaching out to the community, knowing that these guys were here. I think one other was invited, but he didn't get to make it.
Right.
And he's a great man as well. And, you know, so.
Profit, we're not a church, and we have a little more leeway on where we can go and what we can do, because I don't have a particular denomination or anything like that. I don't have my board is very on board with what we do as far as just going for it, and that's something that God's allowed us the opportunity to do. But if you all would be okay with that over the next few months, we'll try to work that out. And I've already talked to another gentleman about going on into the addiction portion of it, and our next Sparrows Cottage Live will be about that. But you mentioned the guy that was not able to be here tonight, Mr. Joel Trigg, Haven of Rest, is that correct?
Hope Haven.
Hope Haven. I've got so many of these in my head tonight, it's hard to keep up with. Hope Haven, Joel Trigg, an awesome musician, by the way. Yeah, he says, remember the Good Samaritan networked. He ministered to the immediate need of the injured man, and then left him in the care of the innkeeper. Each organization in this community has its own niche, and we should all network to serve the different levels of needs in each individual. And I think Joel Trigg is correct. We are doing that, and I see it tonight, and I wanted you to see it. And but Joel, thank you for sending me our brother over here. And I hate that you didn't get to come tonight. Maybe we can get you in later. But any follow-up, anything that you didn't get out of your system tonight? What if this was the last time people could hear from you? What would they say? What would be your last statement of the night? That's a deep one, isn't it?
That is a deep one. You know, just like these guys have said, at Engage, we could not do what we do without our volunteers, without the churches and businesses and families that are investing in what we are doing. And, you know, just like Mikey said, what you guys are doing, you guys are seeing the city change because of the investments that you're making, whether that's $5, $500, $5,000, whatever it is. Maybe you don't have any money and you come out on a Sunday night to serve with us. You know, you guys are helping us to see lives changed and families restored. And so I just want to thank you guys for doing that. If you want more information about Engage, you can go to engage.cc, or you could also go to our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/Engage Tri-Cities. So thanks so much for having me here, Jason.
All right, Pastor Shuey, I think he's given his address. I tell you, I love this guy. He is... this was something you didn't plan, wasn't it? This is something that God just dropped in your lap one day, and 3 minutes. Give me a 3-minute sermonette on what God done to create this.
Well, years ago, I did storefront ministry in Florida, and I'd done it in Virginia years ago. And then I spent 20 plus years in traditional congregations. But inside my soul, I knew that God was calling me to a storefront ministry. And this really burned in my heart for about 8 years before I came here 3 years ago. And I said the Lord blessed us with 8 years worth of blessings at one time because he was saving it all up, But I know that this is the calling from God. It's turned out a lot differently than what I had ever anticipated. But one thing I would like to say is if you walk around this building, upstairs or down, you'll see little signs where all the volunteers can see who comes in this building. It simply says, give them Jesus. And that's what we want to do. Everything we do as unto the Lord, trying to be the hands and feet and voice of Jesus. We may be the closest person to Jesus someone sees. So really, we don't want them to see us. We just hope they see Jesus through what we do.
Steve? Don't get that scared.
It's come down and visit. This will really open your eyes as to what is going on. Bring some young people with you so that they can really see how some of the world lives. And as far as United States is a wonderful country, but I'm going to be honest, we're spoiled rotten and we're wasteful, and you could be a big blessing with just the smallest amount that would make a world of difference in somebody's life.
Volunteer ministries for
we
youth?
We do. Youth can come to Shades of Grace. You can call here, set up an appointment, and we can have you serve a meal. A lot of the church groups bring their youth down here.
This summer we had a group of young people from Grand Rapids. We had a group of young people from Dayton, Tennessee, and from where else? Another state. But yeah, lots of young people come, and I know they work with all these guys. So, yeah.
Your kids have got to see this. Churches, I'm going to call you out. Your congregations go to church every Sunday, and here's what goes on. You fuss all the way to church, and you get there, and you sing 3 songs, take up an offering, hear a message for a preacher, and you're thinking about what you're going to eat at 12 or 1 o'clock. That's the majority of what happens. That's the reality of it. But there's more to ministry than just that. Don't be a bench warmer. Get your children out, bring them down, let them serve with homeless, let them work in things on the street, because they are the next generation that's going to be fighting this battle that this generation's doing right now. They need to be trained, they need to be educated, they need to be informed, and they need to have a reality check in their own lives as to what their calling could be in the future. Because if you do not see the problem, you do not touch the problem, you do not hear the problem, you'll never do anything about it. It'll go unnoticed. But you know what? It comes back to your back door at some point. I have worked in prison ministries for years and seen people that fell through the cracks, ended up in prison, and they're there the rest of their lives. Yes, they're getting 3 meals in a cot, but I don't want to see people end up that way. And when we come up with New Direction Network, that was something that my wife and I discussed. We were going to start in our own backyard. She's been on mission trips all over the country and out of the country. But we wanted to start in our own backyard. So Kingsport, Tri-Cities region, this is our backyard. This is where we've come to battle. This is where we've come to fight the fight. And tonight, I hope that we've educated you a little bit more about it. If you've got any questions, man, these guys are always available to talk to you. They're very approachable. This is something that any one of them would give you any question, and just ask it. If it's a simple or a hard question, they're tough. They're all very tough guys. They can handle it. They're not here to try to belittle you or look down on you or, oh, we're doing this. They're not Superman. And like you said, you're not a superhero. But they love people and they care about people. And when we get back to the basics of loving people, and I'm going to finish up tonight with this one quote. Life sometimes, they throw those things at us. And you've got self-worth. you as an individual, you've got to get to the point that you find out what really clicks in you. And my wife always says you've got to find your true north. And if you'll find your true north, I don't care if you're living out of a car right now, watching on a cell phone, coming down and eating from one of these different ministries, God's got a plan for your life. You've got to look for it through Him. And the government misses one huge thing, and I said huge again, but the government misses one thing, and that's the Jesus factor. If you can give somebody Jesus, I guarantee you when He gets in their heart, they may be hungry right here in the belly tonight, but when they get in the heart, they find self-worth. They will want to get out and try to better their lives. And the government cannot do that for them. And this ministry always puts Jesus first because we feel like of all the things going on in the world, we've got a cure. Do you guys agree with that? Amen. And we're going to finish up tonight. Guys, I appreciate it. We did not have no agenda when we sat down tonight. I didn't have a bunch of questions written out. This is our first interview session. We've been doing music, and some of y'all have made it to those, and we've just been trying to bring the community closer. My age group, and I'm in my mid-40s, we're kind of tired of this denomination divide thing that held our parents back, so we've kind of gotten past that. And our kids could care less. The biggest issue they need is getting them into church and getting them involved in ministries and doing things like this. So that's what we're going to be working on this next year. And we're going to be following up with this group, continuing to support them. And if you've got any questions that you would just prefer to send through us, I can contact them. And if you want to help them financially, you're more than welcome to reach out and we'll get you connected with them. I want to thank you all. Please share this if you're watching this tonight. We've had quite a bit look like peek in on us tonight. We're going to be back in a few weeks for a night talking about addiction. And then I hope, guys, we can come back in a few months and follow back up and see where your guys' ministries are standing at. And just go where the arrow follow that leads us here. But I want to thank you again. Jonathan from Engage Tri-Cities. Michael from Hunger First. I was going to say Hope Haven Ministries again. Pastor Will Shuey and Steve, his right-hand man, for allowing us to come out, spend a little bit of time at Shades of Grace. And we love you guys and appreciate you. There are some informed people out there that's going to step up tonight, and they're going to give a little extra, and they're going to try a little harder because we're those kind of people in this area. And you guys have a great night. I thank you for taking the time, and we will see you in just a few weeks. August the 19th, we'll be back at Nutty Java doing our coffee shop worship series. I think we've got Billy Bryant, Tanya Cressett, some groups from Lighthouse, Seth and Kinder McConnell, Devin Atkins will be back with us. Trying to think of everybody. Israel and Whitney Crawford, I think they'll be back on that night. We've been having great nights down there. Come by and get your cup of coffee. Spend a little bit of time with us. We've got several other just out-of-the-box stuff we're going to be doing throughout the rest of the year. But we thank you for taking the time. And if you'd like to financially help us, again, we're not supported by any church or any organization at this time. But if you go to NewDirectionNetwork.com, we have a option there that you can pay through PayPal. Our address is also there if you'd like to donate to this ministry. But have a great night. Guys, say goodbye. We're out of here. God bless.
All right. Bye.